Thank you for listening today on Revealing Wholeness, sponsored by Infinity Whole Health. Check out our website at infinityWholeHealth.com, where we are revealing the eternal in each individual, the infinite in the individual. The creativity is made manifest. Limitation is let go. Now, here's your host, Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness. And, I want to start maybe at least a couple of podcasts that are going to foster your certainty and your getting rid of fear. And any time that you want to get rid of fear, you have to inject a little understanding. And you have to inject some questioning, and you've got to put things through the paces in order to get to some bedrock of truth. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about viruses, because they're just so in our faces, and bugs and breathing air and everything that's so crazy. But there's a doctor when they started the germ theory, and he said, great, if the germ theory holds true, and his name was Cook. So Dr. Cook says, if the germ theory is true, then Cook's postulates, you can actually Google this, should be, number one, that if you have that disease, every single time we should find that bug or virus or bacteria. And the second one is, if we expose a person to those bacteria, viruses, or bugs, or fungus, that they should develop that disease. So that's how you put the paces through something like the germ theory. But here's the rub. Every time you do that, it doesn't hold any water, because we find people that have, let's say, tuberculosis, but they literally don't always find TB, the tuberculosis bug, there, even though they've got all the signs and symptoms. And you're like, what? How is that possible? How can they call it tuberculosis? I agree. How can they? They really can't, but they do anyways. And so here we have a flu, and every time you have the flu, they check people, and yet it's another type of strain of flu. Okay, but what if I have all those symptoms and I don't have any flu? Because there are people out there that now they call it flu-like syndrome without the flu. And so we're starting to get a realization that, you know what? The body's job is to clean itself, to repair itself, to make sure the immune system is working correctly, and the body does not need any help. What it needs is no interference. Let me explain. So, if I'm eating foods that are relatively, with all things equal, good for me, I'm not adulterating them, I'm not, destroying my environment, but I'm eating foods and drinking pure water and breathing pure air and having good relationships with my friends, everything's hunky-dunky, then my body does its job quite well without much help or assistance. So that means that I really don't need to wear a mask. It means that I don't need to have all kinds of drugs or inoculations or shots or whatever's out there. My body performs admirably as it is. Now, if I am stressed out and I'm not eating well and I'm not taking care of myself and I'm not sleeping enough, I'm not getting enough rest so that I can repair, I'm not thinking normal thoughts, I'm thinking stressful thoughts, I'm thinking negative thoughts, again, that affects health. If I'm doing all of this stuff that's not technically good for me, then the body now gets more and more toxic, not only mentally, but also physically and chemically. Now I start tearing down my tissues until now I'm quite sick. And by the time I get quite sick and have a disease process, it's taken me likely many years to do that. And so now I'm sick. And what do? Well, what's the obvious fix? It's then beginning to return you to your normal state and normal diet and normal thinking patterns, normal sleep patterns, normal interactions with your fellow human beings and animals and all that stuff, and living life to the full like you should. And the problem is that we've got viruses around us, and we don't even realize it. Here's a great statistic that can be verified. How many bacteria, viruses, things like that are in our gut? There are millions. And of viruses alone, there are over 50,000 different viruses. Not cumulative, just collective virus. What's your virus count in your gut? No, these are different, and they're in large numbers, each of them. More than 50,000 different viruses. If viruses could overwhelm our immune system, you would not be here to listen to my voice right now. You would be instantly dead, and so would I. So viruses do not overwhelm us. What they do is they come in as a cleanup crew to diseased tissue. And if you've heard any of my podcasts on immune or immune challenges or how does our immune system work, you have already likely heard this, but it bears repeating that when we're sick, the body literally has everything in it to help it with its processes or its sickness. And what I mean by that is when a group of cells become toxic and I cannot save them, and now I've got these cells that are just sitting there dead, the viruses and bacteria come in and funguses as cleanup crews. They liquefy all that dead material and other diseased tissue until they get to healthy living cells that are not affected, and they stop. And so they get all that debris out, they send it to the blood, and I might have some stuffiness and some congestion and coughing up some gunk and blowing my nose a little bit, and that means that I just got a bunch of crap out of my system that was toxic. And so now when all those symptoms pass, I start making new healthy tissue behind all that cleanup crew and now repair my body. That's how things work. That's how it will always work. That's why the terrain theory is actually correct and the germ theory is not. And the germ theory, we have tried to prove it over and over and over again. And you can't do it. Germs do not grow on healthy living tissue. They just don't do it. And be thankful they don't, because if they didn't, like I said again, you wouldn't be here to hear my voice. So, with that being said, when the mask mandate is finally lifted, when they decide to be sane again, you don't have to worry about removing your mask. You can take it off with glee, or even now if you wish, because it isn't helping you one bit. It isn't preventing any sickness. It isn't stopping anything. Your ability to eat healthy food and to drink healthy water and stay away from sugar and all the crap that we know we shouldn't do in our lives, and think more positive thoughts and healthier thoughts and loving thoughts, and socializing and being human and living life to the full and enjoying the tar out of life is what actually is required. So if you felt like you've been stifled in 2020, don't ever let anybody take another year of your life again, and live life to the full. I hope this sinks in deep, and I hope that it meets good soil and grows a wonderful bouquet of flowers in your life. And until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson on Revealing Wholeness.
Thanks for listening. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Dr. Munson at 360-893-8586 or email him at chiroman@dr.com. That's chiroman@dr.com. Check out our current workshop schedule on Facebook at Infinity Whole Health.